excited for my next podcast guest. Before we get into the podcast, though, I just want to remind you of a couple of housekeeping notes. The first of which is to make sure if you're watching this on YouTube that you subscribe in this corner or that corner. I don't really know where exactly it's going to be. Hit the notification bell so that you can get notified of when new episodes of the Common Sense Show on YouTube come up. If you're listening to this on podcast or wherever you get your podcast, make sure you also subscribe to your favorite podcast platform so that you can be notified about when episodes come up. Also, don't forget to check out the Common Sense Show's resources page, the business resources page on the commonsensepodcast.com/resources. And here's why, because I put up my favorite business books on there. You can learn a little bit more about the books that I endorse to help you get started, level up your business, put systems inside your business, and to help you operate on a regular basis. These are books that you should be reading every single year and on a regular basis to keep your knowledge base up. And I'm going to add and subtract to it all the time. So make sure you check that out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Common Sense newsletter on the website as well. I am excited to get into the podcast. I have a guest, Chris Williams. He is amazing. We're going to be talking about a subject that actually I find super interesting. We're going to be talking about masterminds. If you are a small business owner, you have domain experience, you have something to offer, we're going to be talking about high ticket sales, how you can create masterminds, what they mean, who should do them, should you do them, and other stuff as well. But before we do that, I'm Micah Logan. This is the Common Sense Show.
You're listening to the Common Sense Show. If you've just started a new business, or if you're just thinking about it, this podcast is for you. Micah Logan has a stellar track record coaching small businesses to achieve six-figure revenue streams. The advice on this show is what has allowed him to have over 15 years of experience as an entrepreneur. Here is your host, Micah Logan.
Welcome to the Common Sense Show. And we have our guest, Chris Williams. Before we get into hearing him explain himself, I'm going to explain him for you just briefly for a second. Chris is he has 5 kids. I have 2. He has 5. That is, I can't even imagine that. He is exploring the world community. He's an adventurer. He's a shark diver, ice climber, ultra marathoner. He rides electric skateboards. In his professional life, he's an entrepreneur, business expert, speaker, coach. He helps people market, monetize, and lead their own high-ticket mastermind groups or coaching groups. And he is someone that after my phone call, I said I had to have him on the show. Chris, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, dude, thanks so much for being here. Like, I love what you're doing because you're so systems and processes oriented, and you do an enormous amount of entrepreneurial work, and you don't have to like sacrifice your life for it. Same thing here, man. Like once you crack that code, that's so freeing, and you get your life back. So 5 kids or adventures or sitting by a fire and reading books, whatever you want to do, you know, it's just so sad to see so many entrepreneurs who join the entrepreneur community so they can have time and money freedom, and they don't get it. And all you folks listening and watching, like, what a champion here, Micah. Like, well done, dude, because you're like showing the way. Thank you.
You know, it's small business owners. It's about doing the work. And, you know, I've gotten people message me and call and leave voicemails and do they still do that anymore? And text and emails and stuff like that. And, you know, just asking for advice, business advice, and how to build their businesses. And this is what this is all about. And so what do you think I tell them? I say, go back and listen to episode 1 and catch all the way up. You know, there's a reason why I have this podcast on there, because you can take something away and implement it the next day. I have so much content, so many episodes. We're nearing 100 episodes. And let me tell you, I have people out there. If you want to know how to run your business systematically and you want to hear from experts like yourself, you can do it. Listen to the whole show. It's for small business owners. This is not fluff. We nail down on this podcast because there's so much fluff out there behind a paywall. And I don't feel like sometimes you can always get to the stuff that you need to get, like the real information. That's what I'm about.
Love it, dude. Well done. Well done. And yeah, last night I was at the climbing gym, and I took my phone out of my pocket because I was about to climb a wall. For those of you climbers, it was a 5'11" plus, and it was a challenging climb for me. I'm not the best climber. I was going to drop my cell phone, so I laid it down on the mat, got home, didn't have my cell phone in my pocket. So I got this little flip phone that we have at our house because we don't have a landline. Who has that? Like in case somebody has an emergency, it's sitting in the basket by the back door. Right. I'm calling my own cell phone from the house flip phone. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's my voicemail. I haven't heard my voicemail in so long. People still have voicemails. It was kind of fun. I didn't leave myself a message, but I almost did because I haven't left a message in so long for anybody.
Right. And no, it's true. I listened to my voicemail like 5 times because I never hear my own voicemail. So sometimes I'm like, it sounds so narcissistic probably, but like, I'm just like, well, let me just hear what this voicemail, I want to know what other people hear when they're leaving a message. So anyway, I actually
deleted mine. It just says my phone number now.
Oh, okay.
So it's even more incognito. All right, man, let's do this. Let's rock and roll. How can we help?
So you are a mastermind behind the masterminds, and creating masterminds has always appealed to me, and not just because I feel like I have something to say, because I probably suffer from imposter syndrome as much as the next person, but because I think that I've sat in masterminds and they're obviously useful. So let's start with the obvious question: who should start a mastermind, and why?
Oh, yeah, really good question. So anybody who is an expert at what they do. So you've cracked the code and know how to do something. Yeah. All right. That could be something in business. It could be something in personal relationships. Maybe you're a marriage and family therapist kind of person. Maybe you're a health and fitness coach. Maybe you're somebody who is just a marketing guru. I don't know. Maybe you're somebody who understands the dog training business and you can teach other dog trainers how to build a business. Right. Whatever it is you figured out, somebody else wants that information, right? They're Googling it. Everybody's Googling everything. Mm-hmm. So they want the information, but there's a piece of every Google community, we'll call them, that's willing to just simply pay to get to the end of the process. I want this done. I don't want to have to listen to every show, watch every YouTube video, and read every book to crack the code like you did. Mm-hmm. I just want help now. If you're in that space where you're the expert and you got a few people around you who are saying, hey, how'd you do this? This is really cool. Nice business, whatever. You could charge for that information. Super straightforward. Let's say you own a dry cleaning business, mm-hmm. or you're a stage speaker. Very different businesses. But if people are like, how'd you get booked on all these stages? Or people are like, hey, how'd you actually get 2 dry cleaning businesses up and running? Both of those questions are extremely valuable in their answer sets. If you like going to lunch with people and helping them figure it out and answer those questions, you should probably just have a mastermind because it's efficient. It allows you to take your expertise, teach it to 5, 10, 15 people at a time, and they will transform and grow faster together than they ever would have sitting across a lunch table from you.
All right. So this kind of opens up a lot of other questions. The first of which is, for me anyways, when I'm thinking about masterminds that I've currently paid for and that I've been a part of, is so we live in a world right now where you have these 20-year-olds that call themselves experts and have these masterminds. Now, granted, if you've created something, for instance, a 20-year-old Mark Zuckerberg who created Facebook or something like that, no one knows Facebook like he does because he created it. That's one thing. However, we're talking about these people talking about their business is selling people on the idea of starting a 7-figure business when their business is predicated on not having a 7-figure business, but establishing a 7-figure business by selling the thought of having a 7-figure business, if that makes any sense at all to you.
It does.
And they have never done the work on the ground to even make 6 figures or 5 figures in order to even tell people how things should be done. So how do you separate the wheat from the chaff? If you were trying to establish a legitimate mastermind based off of your experience, how do you separate yourself from all these Insta-tubers who are out there trying to create a mastermind, just trying to get money out of people? I almost drowned.
Yeah, no, you're good. So yeah, that's a good question. And let me give a little bit of credibility to the institutors, because I'm with you. It's a little frustrating to see somebody who has no experience, whatever their age, kind of conning people in to the con man's story of I can help you get rich quick. Now,
Right.
if that person with no experience was able to create a sales system that with no experience could sell the experience of experience, then that sales system is worth understanding and buying if that's what you want to do, right? And I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, stay away, folks. Do the real thing.
Right.
But that person, if all they've done is crack the code on how to con a market, that's valuable information. All right. The ethics are questionable, potentially, sure, but it's valuable information. For most of us, we've gone through some portion of life and we've banged our head against the learning wall a lot. We've failed a lot. And that is extremely attractive to people trying to do the same thing. Most people, when they're buying information products, and you've probably all been through the same exact sequence. We want to do something, want to figure it out, want to build some business entrepreneurial venture, learn how to market our own business, build a website, run Google ads, whatever. You Google it, right? Mm-hmm. Then you watch some YouTubers, then you read a book, then you start following a podcast, then you just bought a $27 product.
Right.
All the checklist you got to have for setting up your Google ads account. Cool, good for you. Then you upsell to the $4.95. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there, you get emails forever in your inbox 3 times a day, and then you end up buying a $1,500 offer. Okay, what's happening is we're getting sold through the funnel process. But why that's working is because you need what's on the other side of the paywall. As you mentioned a second ago, Mike, that's a great term. Mm-hmm. There's something across that wall that you think you need. Now, flip that whole thing around. Let's say you're the expert, mm-hmm. and you want to get people the transformation they want. You can take them through this long maze, or you can shoot off a flare from the middle of the freaking maze. So I'm picturing Harry Potter and they like run around that maze that like the bushes like smush them and kill them I think it's in the last movie. Sorry if you haven't watched it. The bushes are dangerous, but you can shoot up a flare. They shoot up like a flare from one of the wands in the middle of that maze. And you can let people know, hey, you can go through the hard way, or I'm right here, right in the middle where I'm supposed to be. And you can just skip all this and get right to me. And that's the cool thing, Micah, for me about mastermind leadership is I don't have currently in our business model, I don't have that winding maze funnel sequence for people to follow. I simply say, here's what we teach, how to teach your own high ticket mastermind. Mm-hmm. Would you like to do that? That's it. Anybody who's listening and watching right now, you know what you know. And if you raise your hand the right way in the market, people will say, oh my gosh, number one, thanks for being real.
Yep.
And number two, thanks for like being there for me. Can I lean in and just have a 30-minute conversation and get to know you a little more and then make a decision? And you can say yes, and they'll make a decision.
All right.
It's simple.
So, okay. So do you have to start as, so a mastermind, obviously, why don't I have you define a mastermind first?
Good question. Okay. So a mastermind or a high ticket group coaching program, they're kind of synonymous. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, it's where an expert leader builds or accomplishes a group where those group members have a similar goal or transformation they want to get to. If that's business growth, relational health, personal health, mental health, whatever, they're trying to do something in life. An expert about that topic puts together a group of people, 5, 10, 20, 25 people, and you get together weekly, quarterly, monthly, some regiment that allows transformation to happen that's right for that audience.
Right.
And you do it together. You do it with the expert, they're coaching you through the process, and you do it with your other mastermind members because they're going to be asking questions and learning at a different pace than you are, you different than them, and you'll all learn at the group speed, which is typically 3 to 5 times faster to success than one-on-one coaching. And that's a mastermind. The extremes of this, Micah, are we have the e-course down at one end where you pay $1,500, watch the recordings kind of alone and hope you can apply it. You need a coach to help you say, here's how to make this applicable to you today. The other extreme is this big group coaching process where there's like so many people in that thing, even though it's live, you really don't get time to have all your questions answered by the host or the other group members.
Right.
Too many people. The mastermind is that sweet spot in the middle where the lucky few actually get transformation.
So, okay, do you have to already be coaching someone? So like, okay, use me as an example. So, I do business coaching, and obviously my time is spent, as we spoke about offline, running 3 companies. And so my time with business coaching is limited to members who are serious and who want to actually transform their businesses, which is why, I only take a few clients. However, I can see myself as I wind down, these companies sell. I'm a coach at heart. So getting into business, staying in business coaching is something I probably would do. And I can see starting a mastermind. So do you have to be in my position where you've already started coaching before you start a mastermind? Or is a mastermind something that you could start from scratch and not go down the path of one-on-one coaching to drive people into the mastermind? How do you drive people into this mastermind from scratch? If we're trying to really put together almost like a scaffold this idea.
Yeah, good question. So I'd say half the people in our masterminds don't have an audience at all. They've never coached and have no following. But the other half have decent followings, whether they're on a show like you have, or they're already doing this and they already have an audience. Either one, the goal of this is to say, how do I meet someone cold out there on the street of the internet and bring them into my storefront and help them make a decision to transform their lives through this method?
Right.
Okay. If you have 100,000 people on your email list, if you have no email list at all, if you have your own show, you don't have your own show. If you're just starting out, leaving your 9-to-5 and thinking, I want to get into entrepreneurship, what should it look like? Or if you've been an entrepreneur your whole life, it still comes down to, you got to meet a new person tomorrow, and you got to have a sequence in place that allows them to make a decision for you. Because if the most experienced person with a huge audience can't do that, then their audience will eventually burn out on the offer. It's a dead end street. They have to be able to bring in new people and attract them to this offer. Okay. Right. So audience, no audience, it's the same process because you got to prove it. Now, here's the thing. If you don't have any one-on-one coaching already in your world, that's okay. And for most people, it's actually easier to start a group coaching program or mastermind when they haven't done one-on-one coaching. For some reason, Mike, I'm sure you understand this as a one-on-one coach. I've done one-on-one coaching in the past as well. If for some reason, it's like once we see the one-on-one process, we feel like this is so customized to the one person I'm talking to on a Zoom call or face-to-face. How can I make this relevant to 10 people at once? But if you were able to go back and you wanted to take the time to listen to if you record all the conversations with all your one-on-one clients in the past and documented, here's the things we talked about, here's the answers, you realize that like 95% of it's the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And that's where the group thing comes into play. The information, the principles for running any business are pretty universal, and they have been for thousands of years.
That's right.
The nuance of what should my logo, my tagline, what social media platform should I be using for this audience? Those little nuances need to be handled in a customized way. But how you relate to humans on any social media platform is the same thing. It's relationships.
Right.
How you use the tool is slightly unique.
Right. It does. And so, okay, so here we are. We've identified our most common pressing issues that should be addressed in a mastermind, because these things we feel like are not being addressed in the business atmosphere or in the mastermind world. Therefore, we feel like we have our target, our niche. We know that our target market we think that our target market who would buy this are people who typically engage in this. Maybe it's business owners, small business owners, entrepreneurs, fledgling entrepreneurs, or moderately successful entrepreneurs. How do you then let them know that you have a mastermind that is the solution to their problem?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good question, because a lot of people think, so do I have to pressure launch, send a bunch of emails announcing it? Coming up in 3 days, I have this really exciting announcement. Everybody stay tuned, midnight on Friday.
Right. Because if nobody cared before, then nobody's going to care afterwards. So how do you get them to realize that, okay, you now have something to say? Because you're just Chris,
Yeah.
now you're Chris with something to say. So how do you make that transition?
It takes about 10 days to 2 weeks to make the transition.
Interesting.
And it's faster than you think. And it does not include taking a selfie video in front of a red Ferrari. Believe it or not, you don't have to do that.
Oh, please, no more selfie videos in front of Ferraris. Those are brutal.
Every time I see a selfie video of somebody from a Ferrari, I always picture, if they like panned the camera around, there'd be like 4 other people doing the same thing in front of the same Ferrari in the parking lot.
Exactly. They probably open it up on like a Tuesday between 1 and 2 o'clock. Come down here, take a picture of my Ferrari. You owe me $100. You know? It's like give me 30 seconds. I'll tell you how to change your life. And it's like, okay, this is all.
It is, Micah. That's our next business. We should do it together. We should buy a couple of Ferraris, open up a garage, and let people rent them for 15 minutes at a time.
I like it.
No driving, just the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. That's right.
I love
exactly
it.
Right.
Hey, get out of my shot. You're next. You're at 10:30. Come on, move on, dude.
Keep on moving them.
All right. So how do we get people to say, oh my gosh, there's a mastermind this guy has? Like, this would be cool. So when you bring people into your audience, let's define that. Audience could be your podcast. It could be a Facebook group. It could be your LinkedIn profile, something on whatever, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want to do. You bring people into your audience, ideally into an audience location that allows you to message one-on-one. That is extremely critical. Mm-hmm. Because just because you make a lot of noise about, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, we're doing this mastermind, launching it in a month and a half, we got 10 seats, first come, first serve. People are going to be like, well, that's cool. Oh, look at that next post.
Right.
That's all they're going to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they are in your audience and they're interacting with you, then you can private message them and get in a conversation. Hey, I know you're hanging around, you're absorbing the content, super glad you're here. Tell me what's working and what's not working for you. How can I point you in the right direction? How can I help you move forward? Mm-hmm. The things you're going to learn from those conversations are actually the things that you're going to teach in your mastermind.
Right.
And those conversations allow you to ultimately say, this is a really great point. I'm sorry to hear you're struggling with it, but let's just jump on a Zoom call. Mm-hmm. Let me see if we can sort this thing out in 30 minutes. Or if you want to engage deeper into things that we're doing, I can help you down that path if it's a good fit. But either way, let's get you moving the next step today.
Right. That's
so real and authentic and not silly that people love that. I love it when I see a message like that.
Right.
And I'm willing to say, if you can help me for 30 minutes, I'm in. And I don't mind hearing a few minutes about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But a percentage of the people you talk to are going to resonate with, oh my gosh, like I want in this group. How do I make that happen? It's really, really simple when done the right way.
And you're actually trying to help them first too, which is the big thing. It's like you're actually
crazy idea, right?
Yeah, I know. You're actually giving them something for free that can help them transform their business. It's just a suggestion, but that is worth its weight in gold. And so then you must take that concept and tie it back to why we're going to continue to address things that transform you or your business in our mastermind, I assume.
Exactly.
So you have friends and family following you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, social. And you make this transition from being just the everyday electrician or, chess player to now running a group where you can teach people something that they may be engaged in, by just saying, do you have to make a public statement that you're doing this because you've been in this for a long time? It's now time to share my vision with the world or help people, blah, blah, blah. Like, what's your vision statement publicly for why you're starting this mastermind?
That's a really great question. And yeah, so here's the story for most of us. By the way, chess player, that's interesting. I actually interviewed two world champion, they're called Grand Masters or something like that, not too long ago on our show as experts, and they're fascinating people. Anyway, so fascinating. The bottom line is, when you're bringing someone into a community that's already existing, and your friends and family, your high school buddies are in there, most of us as entrepreneurs, we're going to fall into two groups here. Most of us have either already had like 5 new entrepreneurial ideas and directions in the past couple of years.
Right.
And we've kind of announced that so many times, we're really embarrassed to announce it again, because they're all going to roll their eyes, we feel like. Or this is our first go at anything public announcement. It's just awkward and embarrassing to say I'm doing this, because what if people think I'm weird, or I fail, or I don't turn out right?
Right.
Okay. The easiest thing to do is to set up a group, a platform, a space that's just for the conversation you want to have about your expertise. Facebook's a good example of this. Set up a Facebook group. That way you don't have to be all chit-chatty about your entrepreneurial venture on your Facebook profile where your aunts and uncles are.
Right.
You just simply engage with people in your community who are like the kind of people you want to have in that group. Invite them to the group and have the conversations there. Auntie and uncle will never know. And you and your community can have a quiet room to talk.
Right.
It's like having your own office space. So I've been working virtually for over a decade now. And, we've rented conferencing facilities here and there throughout the years in my hometown so that I could meet people that needed an office space to meet me in, versus Starbucks.
Right.
Well, nobody at Starbucks, my barista friends, don't know that I'm not there on Tuesday because I'm over here in the conference space. Same way, make a private space online and invite people to that conversation. Say, hey, we have this community over here. We talk about these things. We're cracking the codes. We'd love to have you in there.
Right.
They say yes. And then you can keep that separate.
Now, should you start your mastermind local, regionally, versus going online and putting money behind? You may not even have that money to put behind it, but like try to get people from online into a mastermind group versus starting like locally, regionally, with people that you know or that are in the area, easy to access you first. Is that like do you think that that's a better way to go? Do you think that now with internet, it doesn't really matter?
Yeah, well, I know that many of you are local business owners, so your network could currently be local.
Right.
Many of you have big online presences just because your friends and family, your network, your old friends, whatever. Here's the truth of it, though. I'm a big fan of going online based first versus local. There's several really good reasons for this. Going online, you can do this whole thing organically. We don't actually teach any paid methods in this process. We teach everything organic because it's relationship based. High ticket sales is always relationship based. Being in an online space and inviting people from out there in the internet to your community proves that you can attract a cold audience to the conversation and engage them in a meaningful way. When it's someone you've already known who lives in the same zip code as you, you haven't proven your offer. You just simply proven that you already have a relatively high level of know, like, and trust with that person you've known for 20 years. No surprise there. We got to make sure we tailor everything you're doing to prove that you've got 8 billion people on the planet you could choose from, and you know how to build relationships with them. That means your marketing is unlimited.
Right.
And it gets very easy because it's so scalable. Second reason, it's way more expensive to start a mastermind local than it is online. If you're local, inevitably you end up spending more time. Time's where the money's at, folks. Your time is so valuable. Protect it. You spend more time engaging with your first 10 members. You're going to chit chat. Hey, let's just go to Starbucks and talk about this upcoming group I got going. You're going to have 3 Starbucks meetings with each one of them. You're going to have spent 50 hours just talking to people when you could be so much more effective on a Zoom call and in a community. Third reason is because, Micah, you and I both, to the people in our hometowns, we're just the kid down the street. Remember that time you wrecked your bike in the neighbor's mailbox? That's who we are. And when we're able to be known outside of our hometown on a virtual platform, an online platform, like any social media platform,
right,
all of a sudden you're seen as an expert. That's a big thing.
Oh, no, for sure. And how much do you think an individual should budget for starting their own mastermind? Or do you think that this is this one of those things where it's like you could start it for very little cost and then grow it over time? Or does this actually require an investment?
No, it doesn't require an investment unless you're going to pay somebody to learn how to do it. So let's just be honest here. We sell our information about how to build high ticket masterminds. I'm not the only one out there who does this, folks. Okay. Just shooting you straight here.
Right.
We sell this model. You're going to go out there and try to crack the code on your own, or you're going to pay somebody like me to walk you through the process. Okay. One of the two. That is truly the startup cost if you do this correctly, period. There's work to be done. Every single session that we talk about in our groups that ends with do work, get results. No get rich quick crap here. There's work to be done. You can do all of that yourself organically and bring people and fill your first group in typically 6 to 8 weeks. And it not cost you anything to do it other than your time. If you like to retain your time and hire someone on your team or a virtual administrator or an outsourcer of some type, we'll show you how to do that. But that means you're going to have to go and pay somebody a couple $100 a month to help you execute tasks.
Right.
Those are your startup costs, period. The goal of having, Micah, just to add one more thing to that, the reason masterminds work better than online courses or any other type of information product for the entrepreneur who's building them is because it quickly confirms and sorts out the audience you're attracting, the messaging, and the offer. Like within weeks, that's sorted out so that you know within a couple of weeks, I now have an offer that's actually getting people to swipe their credit card.
Right.
Which means within weeks, you're getting paid to build the business. Other business models, you have to invest a lot of time and capital to build. This one is completely free to build, and it confirms its success with cash flow before you actually even have your first group session.
Right. So how do you decide what to charge for your mastermind group? Because there's wild differences in what masterminds cost and how they're structured. So some masterminds are, they charge you monthly, of course. And I guess that the process of taking the cash is less relevant than what you should charge for the mastermind itself. But where do you come up with that number? How do you come up with that number?
Man, you're asking really great questions. So this is, by the way, folks, this is like really good information. Just saying, Micah, great job on all this. And Micah's other shows, if you listen to those other shows, you know it's just solid information. Like this is getting down to really good stuff. Few people, I'm on 6 shows a week. We budget out time for me to be on 6 audiences a week, and few people ask questions that are like this relevant to be actionable. Love it.
I'm glad we could add to the conversation here.
Yeah, I know, for real. So the bottom line is on pricing. There's like a low end extreme that you really shouldn't go below. Okay. We typically teach, I'd say 99% of the time, that you got to at least charge $5,000 for someone to be in your mastermind, at least $5K. I will address that number in a second. If that's going to seem high to some and low to some. Okay.
A year, a month, or what?
For the seat. Like if it's going to be a 12-week process or a year-long process or 2-day process, at least $5K.
Gotcha.
That's high to some and low to some. That's irrelevant for a second. Anything below the $5K mark, let's just define anything below that mark. You are getting into e-course land. Okay. You should be recording your stuff and handing it to somebody and never seeing their face and never interacting with them. Your time is too valuable.
Right.
Period. Mm-hmm. On that note, never go build an e-course, sell a mastermind, record your mastermind trainings, and then use those as an e-course. Okay.
Yes. Right.
Golden nugget there.
You leverage your time. It's such a good point because, if you have to give this information out anyway, like you can charge people for access. If you talk about behind the paywall, you can charge people for access for what you're already teaching. Right. I mean, it's brilliant.
Once you teach week 1 of your mastermind, let's say it's a 12-week course, 12-week mastermind.
Right.
Once you teach week 1, you can now downsell to the online course version.
Right.
All you got to do is teach week 2 and record it and drip it to them once a week. You're done.
So for everyone listening to this, I could put my question behind a paywall of how much you should charge. So you have to pay to get the answer.
This is really good. Oh, dang. I'm seeing, I want an affiliate commission here. Come on, dude.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
This is really good. That's a really great point.
So,
really great point. All right. So let's talk about this 5K and above number. What should you actually charge?
Right.
Now, Micah, you and I both know there's 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. I heard 3 of my friends recently like, oh my gosh, so-and-so is doing $1 million mastermind seat. They were mentioning that like a week and a half ago when I was talking to them.
Right.
Everybody's tinkering with how far does it go, right? So ultimately, the price comes down to 2 things. Number 1, and this is the hardest one to deal with, how much can you charge without flinching? Most people have a price in their own mind or their heart, and they say that's too expensive. But the reason it's too expensive is because that person can't afford it. The person selling it thinks it's expensive.
Right.
You don't have to worry about, can you afford what someone else is buying? You're not the one buying it.
That's right.
Let them make that decision. Okay, now here's how they make that decision. What it's worth is typically, here's an easy way to do this, easy formula for you. What it's worth is typically, how much value will this bring me if I do everything? Micah, I'm going to join your mastermind. If I do everything you say to do, like I promise you, I'm there to do the work to get the results.
Yep.
How much do you think it'll change my business? If you say, Chris, I think it'll change your business $100,000. I think it'll change $500,000. I think you'll pick up an extra $10 million next year. If you can tell me, like truly, it's worth another $1 million to the bottom line of my business, if I do everything you say to do and follow it for a year, you could charge me $1 million with a payment plan that lasted 12 months because I'm coming out flush in 12 months. But I'm going to keep doing this year 2 and year 3 and year 4. I'm going to bank this thing hard. Okay. Now, most people take that annual number and they simply charge a 10 to 20% outcome of that number. If you say, dude, I can make a $1 million difference on your business, then you might hear somebody pitching this mastermind seat for $100,000 to $200,000. Because you're going to give me a payment plan. Okay. And it's $8,888 per month for a $100,000 seat. And by the end of month 2, I'm going to be jacking up another 25K. And by the end of month 3, I'll be bringing another 50K. And like, yeah, can I buy 2 seats? Yeah,
exactly. So where's the liability at with creating masterminds? Because this is a concern. So like, you raised something that I think is interesting. I've heard this said in masterminds. And basically what it is if I can give you or show you the value to increase your business, and we talked about how to price that against the value. Where is there liability? Do you need E&O insurance, like errors and omissions, advertising insurance, as when you put these mastermind groups on? How do you protect yourself from, or do you think that it's mostly reputational risk at play when it comes to delivering the masterminds?
No one has ever asked me that question on a show. I'm loving this show. Okay. So yeah, liability is a big deal for everybody in every line of business in the world. This is the way it works now, right? But here's the truth about liability. The financial risk is significantly lower than the relationship and reputation risk. You make one person mad and they want their money back or something.
Right.
Okay. That sucks. But truly, if they go out there and badmouth you, you lose 100 people.
Mhm.
So it's the reputation. So here's what we do. You got to have insurance, folks. No matter what business you're in, get errors and emissions insurance, get your liability insurance, your slip and fall insurance. If you're brick and mortar, get insurance, and then have contracts. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not giving anyone legal advice here. Just to be loud and clear. Don't edit that part out.
This is just for educational purposes.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of guys having fun. Don't worry about it. All right.
Yep.
So you got to have agreements in place, and we work through those agreements in our mastermind to show people here's what has to be in there. This is important.
Mhm.
But those agreements allow you and your mastermind participants to acknowledge here's what we're trying to achieve. Here's how long it might take. It might take longer or shorter, but ultimately we're going to stick with you and get this result if at all possible. Now, in our masterminds, we stick with people. We don't kick them out. If it takes you 6 months longer than the average to get it figured out, we're with you.
Mhm.
In some masterminds, they kick you out and they end up making people really mad. But again, to me, I want the reputation. I want to know that when people join my mastermind, they win, and they win on their calendar. That's so critically important to me. Your errors and omissions and liability insurance companies, if they're any good, are going to ask you, do you have an agreement or a contract with your clients? If you say no, they'll say, oh, we just tripled your rates. If you say yes, they're going to want to see it. And if it's a good one, it will give them confidence to know, oh, this group's doing it right. They actually care about people. The likelihood of us getting a claim is really low.
Do you, what's your policy on refunds?
We do refunds if someone has shown that they're doing the work and we just made a bad match.
Yeah.
That's happened. Man, I think that's happened. I don't think 3 times. I'm thinking of 2 times in the past couple of years that's happened.
Yeah.
And both of those, by the way, were COVID related.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave a refund because, I mean, people were spending months in the hospital with a loved one,
right,
or months not seeing their loved one in the hospital, right? And it was so obvious that the right thing to do was, here's your money, go and do well.
Right. And they weren't able to implement what you were asking them to do. So
right.
Yeah.
But the beauty of having a well ironed out mastermind is that you go through the first group that you teach,
mm-hmm.
and you iron out, you're showing up and you're like, this is my first group. You're not announcing it. No beta groups. That's crap, guys. Go straight in, have your first group. But the thing is, on your first group, you're so committed
mm-hmm.
to learning everything you got to learn about what they need and offering them solutions and cracking the code and making little bonus sessions and jumping on an extra call this weekend if they need it. You're getting it done. If you're committed to seeing the 10 people in front of you win, they're going to win.
Right.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how much intent comes into play with anything you do, right? If you are trying to actually, and now granted, one can make an argument that just because you have an intent to do something doesn't mean it actually gets done, but that's a legal argument and we're not lawyers. So, you're concerned for people and want to actually genuinely help them. I think you brought this up as one of your first points and main points. It really does come into play because you're going to give them information that actually will help their business, because you're not, looking to scam them. You're not one of those Insta-tubers who are trying to take photos in front of a rented Ferrari. So,
yeah.
So you have a 3D rule for defining your high ticket niche. And you mentioned the price of 100 to 200,000 in some cases that people are charging for masterminds. Before I ask you for the 3D rule, I just want to remind people to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the notification bell. If you're listening to this on your podcast platform, because you always listen to this on your podcast platform, make sure that you subscribe wherever you get your platform. Don't forget to check out the commonsense.podcast.com. And don't forget to check out Chris Williams, our guest today as well. So, Chris, the 3D rule for defining your high niche target, your high ticket niche. How do you do that?
Yes. Here's the 3D rule. And folks, like and subscribe, smash that bell, do the things. If you're in the podcast, for real, if you've never run your own podcast or show, you don't realize how important it is. People find, where are we at? We're 30 minutes into this thing, Micah? I don't know. If you're this far, you're this far into this rabbit hole, this is solid information. when you like and subscribe, it plays with the algorithms and it makes sure other people with your interests find this information. It's super cool. The internet's so strong. I think it's going to stick around.
It is.
All right.
Just a couple years.
And you can find us at groupcoachnation.com. That's where our whole world is, groupcoachnation.com. Everything about the 3D rule is super simple and relational. All right. And this makes a huge difference on anybody's sales platform. If you're a brick and mortar, if you're selling info products, if you're at a 9 to 5 and trying to figure out what am I going to do? I'm going to quit my job and do this. The 3D rule: dream, drain, doubt. Those are our 3Ds. Let me define them. You need to hear what your ideal audience, your market, who you think you want to help. I want to help entrepreneurs. I want to help dog trainers. I want to help therapists. I want to help couples with struggling marriages, whatever. What's their dream? What are they actually trying to accomplish? Now, don't get caught up with, well, they're entrepreneurs. They want to make more money. Okay. I promise you, most entrepreneurs are not wanting to make more money. They're wanting what they think money gets them.
Right.
Which is probably some freedom, maybe some opportunity for themselves, their kids.
Yep.
Maybe a chance to actually show themselves because of their shitty parents that they're worth something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just calling a spade here, folks. Yep. We want to succeed because, sorry, your episode just went too explicit. Dang it. So sorry. We want to succeed.
We'll mark it thusly.
Okay, good. But the big E on there.
Before John McAfee died, I had him on, and that was
probably, he lit it up.
Yeah, he did.
We want to succeed as humans, not because I want a Tesla, but because I want what the Tesla says about me to myself or to those who see me in it. Mm-hmm. All right. Really, honestly, if we're tree huggers and we just want to save the planet, we would probably do like ride a bike. You know, you're not going to get a Tesla, but truly we want that for other reasons. What is your market's dream? And if you're saying, Chris, I don't know, man, that's pretty deep. How do I find that out? Well, look in the mirror and write down what you're feeling, because that's probably what they're feeling. We're humans. We're all precious little snowflakes, but I promise you, there's like 7 or 8 kind of snowflakes. We're all really similar.
I do like what you said about people. It's not about the money; it's about what money gets them. I think that is a very good point. This is why social media is so powerful. It's because you are visually seeing. Well, you're mostly seeing what people want you to see, but what they put up there are photos and videos and messages that shape a narrative about their ideal life. Some people just put it up there raw, but most people who are using social media put up the things that it's not their life in 24-hour period of time, it's their life in 30-minute time. So it's the rental Ferrari. It's this representation of what they believe that life means and how they want to project it. So interesting point. I think that's an awesome one.
Yeah, that's D number 1. That rental Ferrari does not make me feel, for the people who buy that sort of ad,
right?
It doesn't make me feel that I want a Ferrari. It makes me feel that kid in front of the rental Ferrari is more successful than me. Not just, they make more money, but it's going to be like, I won't have to worry about rent. I won't have to worry about my parents being on my back about making a buck and getting a job and that you didn't do well at college. And if that was me, all those things would go away. That's my dream.
Right.
Yeah. So clarify.
It's two levels. It's 2 levels deeper than you think it is. You have to dig down a couple levels. That's right.
All right, let's go for the next one. Drain. All right. Dream, drain, doubt. Remember, our first one's dream. Identify it, write it down, know what it is. If you're struggling with it, it's probably your dream too. Drain. These are the external things that keep me from accomplishing or getting to that dream. So what is it around me? Too many bills, not enough time. My partner is just a total downer about me being an entrepreneur. I would, but I don't have the education that I need. If I could just get this coaching certification, I could go be a coach. What is it that's keeping you or your audience from accomplishing that dream? What is it? What are the hurdles on the track that you have to jump over or they have to jump over to get to that dream? List those out. It's often not enough money, not enough time, too many pressures and relationships, not enough education, not enough opportunity. I don't know the right people. I'm stuck in this freaking 9 to 5. There's lots of things that, and no judgment here. It's not like we're giving excuses and minimizing those excuses. These things are real. Right. Even if we know as the expert, hey, that's not real, I overcome it, you can too. The person who's feeling it right then, it's real to them.
Right.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Write those down. Dreams, write them down. Drains, the external stuff, write it down. If you don't know what the market's drains are, look in the mirror.
Right.
What's freaking you out right now? What are you waking up at 2 a.m. thinking about? Mm-hmm. Is it money? Write it down.
Yep.
Is it your credit score? Write it down. Is it the relationship pressure at the holidays coming up when you're like, oh crap, I'm going to have to see those people again. They're going to ask me what I'm doing. And so-and-so's a damn doctor and so-and-so's an engineer. And I am an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. That's write those things down. Okay.
Absolutely.
Dream, drain. Third one is doubt.
Yep.
What's inside your heart that's keeping you back from even running the track and trying to overcome the hurdle in front of you? We got that dream down the track at the end, the finish line. We got the drains that are the hurdles on this track, and they're hard to overcome. And we got the dreams, drains, and the doubts. The doubts are the things that are in our heart that make me not even want to lace up my shoes, that make me look right and left at the track and think, she's faster and stronger than I am. I may as well not even try. Or, I have been in races every weekend for the past 6 weeks. I haven't won a single race, and I've tripped on the third hurdle. There's 10 hurdles. I haven't even gotten to the fourth one ever. Why would I even start? Because the crowd laughs, and because I know I'm not good enough, and because I see all the people who hit the finish line and I'm not who they are. I'm an imposter. I'm too scared to start. I'm worried about it. It's me.
Right. And so these are the things that will help you understand who your mastermind should be targeting and why they should be targeting these individuals and what. So who, what, why, and what you should be essentially teaching them when you bring them together.
If your mastermind teaches, here's who you are as a person, you got this. Here's what to do next to overcome those hurdles. And here is the path to your dream. If it teaches those 3 things, the doubts, the drains, how to overcome them, and how to actually reach that dream, you will have an insanely successful mastermind. You'll have a super easy time marketing it, and it'll be the easiest thing in the world to sell it.
Now, is this the same way that you can get speaking engagements as well? Kind of putting this together, kind of the fundamental pitch to masterminds. Would you encourage people to kind of put together a similar sort of framework for getting speaking engagements?
Absolutely. For speaking engagements, your audience, if we think about this, the audience that's in front of the stage, if it's a virtual stage like a podcast, or if it's a physical stage like a main event, the audience in front of the stage is only one piece of the people that need to hear the dream drained out. You got to help them see their dream and overcome their drains and their doubts in 30 minutes, whatever you got. It's actually the stage organizers who are your first and primary audience. What are their dreams for this event? What are the drains keeping them from getting there? What are the doubts? If you can fill that gap and say, look, I can get you past the doubts and the drains and help you succeed at this event, this audience presentation that you want to have, you'll get the speaking gig.
Who is building a mastermind not for?
Anybody who hates communicating and teaching people. If you really don't like being on camera, if you don't like a microphone, if you don't like sitting down with 10 or 12 people and like saying, let me help you, what's going on? If you have a hard time listening and you only want to just blare your information out megaphone style and can't listen first before you answer a question, then this isn't for you.
Interesting. Chris Williams, how can people get in contact with you if they are interested in having you coach them through developing their own mastermind, selling it to high net worth, high ticket individuals who buy high ticket masterminds on a regular basis? How in the world can they get in touch with you and your company?
It's groupcoachnation.com. Easiest way to do it. So at Group Coach Nation, we have a beginner, an advanced, and a pro section. It's completely free. And you jump in there and we're going to help you sort, where are you now in this process? And what should you do next to start getting some traction to becoming your own mastermind leader? It'll help you identify, thanks for the information, but wow, I don't want to do this. Awesome. Aren't you glad you know? Or heck, this is for me. What do I do next? We'll literally lay out the steps. Here's what to start executing on. Here's when you need help to move forward. Here's when you don't need help to move forward. That's what Group Coach Nation is all about. We're all in this together. Let's do it.
And when should a person start? So if they're in the middle of running their businesses, when did you suggest that they actually start considering? When is enough professional knowledge and credentialing enough where they can then actually put the mastermind on? Now, I guess I realize that the answer probably is it depends and it's individual, but there also has to be a level of competence that you're bringing, because otherwise it's going to be looking like more refunds than subscriptions. But what's your metric or your rule for that?
When you're at a place in your professional life where people are saying, hey, how'd you do that? Then you're probably there, because it's not about their credentialing. What's happened is all of a sudden you've crossed a line and somebody is noticing, wow, you're really good at that. That's really cool. How'd you do that? That right there is an indication that you don't need more credentialing. You don't need a PhD in the thing. You just need to start teaching people how to do it.
Right.
Truly, most of us know more about our passion and our area of expertise than 99% of the people on the planet do.
Right.
It's not their thing. They didn't spend the past 2 years, 6 months, 15 years learning it. It's just a matter of a percentage of that population want to get there now. And they'll pay you to get there now. Yeah.
Great. All right. Get groupcoachingnation.com.
Groupcoachnation.com. Groupcoachnation.com. Beginner, advanced, pro. Sort yourself out there and start learning.
Chris, you've been awesome, man, helping us map out the blueprint for establishing a mastermind business and helping individuals really decide whether or not this is for them, if they're willing to put in that work. Obviously, you're going to be in front of people a lot. You kind of have to have that as part of your energy cycle, the fact that you like kind of getting out in front of people and kind of doing this. But this is something that I've always been intrigued with. And of course, I'm going to have to circle around to you when it's time for me to do my thing. But thank you so much for coming on today and laying it out there for people so they can hear and they can implement mastermind coaching and maybe start the process tomorrow.
Heck yeah. And Micah and everybody else listening in, lean in on this guy, guys. You got this amazing podcast host in front of you. He's obviously cracking systems and codes. He's life hacking the heck out of entrepreneurship. Go back if you're like, man, this is good, but I really have a question about XYZ topic. Scan back through the topics, listen to the episode that's right for you, or it's faster. Just shoot a message to Micah. He's got his contact info everywhere. Shoot him a message and ask him and his team, here's my problem. Where's the resource for this? His library is deep. So ask, get the information, do work, get results. It works.
Yeah, that's right. So remember, folks, use your common sense in your business and your business will grow. We got to take off. That's the end of the show here today. Chris, thank you so much. We are trying to break the code of small business and entrepreneurism, trying to help people implement things the very next day that they can use to grow and scale their business, add a couple $100,000 in bottom line revenue to their business. So thank you for coming on today, and can't wait to see you all engage. And I want to hear what you thought about today's interview. Put a comment on YouTube, send an email to info@thecommonsensepodcast.com. Make sure you find Chris on Twitter, Twitter, Instagram, all the relevant.
We don't do Twitter at all, but we do everything else.
Yeah, Twitter can be a circling firing squad too, so I don't blame you there. But
Chris Williams HQ. Chris Williams HQ is our social handles for everything.
Okay.
And Group Coach Nation is where we are also. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, great. All right, we're out of here, folks.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Common Sense Show, hosted by Micah Logan. The producer for The Common Sense Show is Paul Logan. To reach out to Micah and The Common Sense Show, talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search The Common Sense Show. And if you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to rate and or review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thank you for listening.